What I'm going to do is continue to advocate for whoever happens to be the prime minister to make good on the 9 things that we want changed. We want to see an end to emissions caps. We want to see an end to net zero power regs, net zero vehicles, net zero building codes. We want to make sure that we control our own environment for methane emissions. We want to make sure that we don't have a ban on tanker traffic off the West Coast, that we have control over our process to approve pipelines with an end to Bill C-69 and a couple of other things. Those are things I'm advocating for, and I will continue advocating for them after the election. I will give whoever happens to be in the chair 6 months to make good on trying to address some of those critical problems for Alberta. And then at the same time, I'll be going across Alberta on what I'm calling our What's Next panel to see what kind of feedback we get. But we can't stop trying to get the right policies in place. As I mentioned, we have a prime minister right now who says one thing in English, one thing in French, one thing in Eastern Canada, one thing in Western Canada, one thing to me, and then one thing to when he's asked by the media. So I don't actually know what this prime minister is going to do. I'm not encouraged by that flip-flopping so far, but we'll see what happens after this next election. But those are bottom line things. If you want to get pipelines built, if you want to get corridors established, if you want to open up markets, you have to get rid of all of the policies that are dampening investment in our country, and you can't have it both ways. So I'll continue pressing for it, and I hope there's a change of heart after the election. I got a mandate to try to fix Canada. I got a mandate to try to make Canada work, and that's what I've been working towards relentlessly over these last 2.5 years. As you know, we did put in place a process for citizen-initiated referenda, and I leave it to Albertans who may feel differently to put forward a petition campaign. But I think my job as an Albertan and as a Canadian is to try to put on the table the issues that are causing grave tension in our federation and to solve them. And I'm going to look at it on the positive side, because what I have observed is that it may be that the current prime minister doesn't get it, but all of the other premiers do. And we have consistently, for the last number of meetings, signed on to communiques talking about how we're going to build economic corridors. This last one, economic corridors with oil and gas and transmission lines, rail lines, and new highways and other infrastructure in those corridors. And so I believe there's goodwill on the part of the other premiers. The problem is, unless we solve those federal barriers, we're not, it's just words on paper. So I'm going to continue to use sort of that newfound sense of esprit de corps with my fellow premiers. We're going to do what we can after the election to make sure that we address those issues, and I'll keep an open mind. But so far, I'm dissatisfied with what I'm hearing out of the new prime minister. He doesn't seem to understand just how foundational these are if we're going to reset the relationship.